Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Live at the Waterhole show on this Saturday morning. We are opening up on the Africam Old Donyo Cam up in Kenya with three bull elephant and some oryx, and myself, Steph Winterboer, is going to be hosting the show for the next couple of hours, the next 3 hours or so. And I can tell you right now, it is a blisteringly hot day. The wind has been pumping over most of these areas for the last 12 hours or so, and so I'm expecting things to be thirsty today. So I I hope that you've got some time set aside to keep the show on today, because I actually think it's going to be a cracker, to be honest. Although that would now just be butterflies and grasshoppers, because I've heard that. Excuse my cough every now and again and a crackly voice. It's the change of the seasons here. Yesterday was spring day, and we are celebrating it really well with a bout of hay fever that seems to be lasting for the last week or so. But anyway, it's all good. No harm done. Right. What are we going to have a look at the summary of the weather over the different places right now? As you saw from that quick summary, it's in the sort of low 90s, upper 80s for the day, and right now at Old Donyo, it's probably close on, I would say, 80 something. Let's just have a check. Doesn't look like there's much wind, which is a good. It's actually 22 degrees, which is about 77 or so degrees Fahrenheit, which is a pretty average day for a Kenyan summer's day, or spring day, I should say. They don't really have seasons being so close to the equator. What we have seen is that these elephants seem to have been around the pan for some time. They each have wet flanks, and so they've been trying to cool themselves down already this morning. Elephant being quite big and presenting such a massive profile, do get quite hot. In fact, the temperature on the top of their heads and their shoulders can reach 50 degrees, and of course they're warm-blooded, so they need to reduce that temperature to some manageable amount. And one of the ways that they do that is by flapping their ears and passing a draft down the sides of their body, and by wetting their flanks. And what that does is it creates a draft. It evaporates the water and it cools their skin down. They're quite tolerant of the heat, actually, to be honest with you. He isn't quite finished, this guy. And he wants some more water. You can see how the stones on the other side of the pan are quite wet. And so I think that they've been here for quite some time. Now, I have been studying a little bit, and let's just say that one of the joys of being a field guide and about doing work like this is that you can continuously be educated and updated and learn new things. And what we're going to be having a look today is at these oryx. So you get two different types of oryx. These feisty. I wonder if it's the same male and herd that we saw yesterday. This is a male oryx, the one that is standing second in the queue, and this is a female oryx in front of him. And he just tried to mount her, which is not in itself unusual. It's a fairly common thing. This is his small herd. You can actually see how thick his horns are compared to the ladies in his harem. And you probably find that the female's all coming into estrus at the moment, and there you go. So he's just busy testing reproductive status, and they do that by licking the scent and then passing it onto a gland in their upper mouth, in their roof of their mouth. If you run your tongue on your palate from the back to the front, you'll notice that it ends in a depression, a sharp pit that's separated by that septum in the middle of your mouth, and naturally occurring cavity there. That is in these animals and in elephant, in actual fact. There's a gland that sits there called the Jacobson, organ of Jacobson's, and they can open that and pass scent onto it, and it's a very, very sensitive smell receptor, and they can do chemical analysis there. I know it sounds a bit weird. I mean, they're obviously not thinking about it. It's all done subconsciously, but they can test reproductive status very quickly, and will know when this female is ready to ovulate. Jamie, good morning. Thank you very much for your comment. You just said good morning to me, and looking forward to the show today. I'm also looking forward to the show today, actually. It's a great time of the day to be doing shows this time of the year. And so, yeah, welcome. For those of you just joining and wondered how Jamie is asking a question, you're welcome to ask us questions, or to ask me questions at least, and send through your comments, any ideas that you have, whatever you like. And you can do that by registering on the WildEarth website, and then we can have a chat. Tell me what you think about what we're looking at. Ask me questions. Here's an eland. So the two different types of oryx that we get here in Kenya is the Bisa oryx and the fringe-eared oryx. They both occur in this area. We're going to be looking and seeing which one this is. We actually had a viewer the other day point out the fact that I kept on calling them an East African oryx, and they don't exist. They're very different. They're different subspecies from the one we see in Namibia. And I'm hoping that we can decide which one of the two oryxes we're having a look at right now. Is it the fringe-eared oryx, or is it the Bisa oryx, which doesn't have the fringes on its ears? We had that big male eland. He's the one standing sort of in the center of the screen. You've got the females on the right. They've got the more slender horns, very similar to these oryx that we're having a look at. The male's horns are shorter often and stubbier, and it's because they fight with them. And the female's horns are not. They tend to be longer and thinner, but can also deform and are more prone to weird shapes. Personally, I like the female's horns more. What is this youngster doing? He's crouched down and gone down onto his knees. That is so bizarre. I do know that they feed on their knees. I think it just reduces strain on them, to be honest, I think, from what I know. But this one's gone into a proper squat. I don't know, maybe he's training for something. There you go. Isn't that better? Have a look at that sharp front hoof, and you're tracking, and you come across some signs in the wild. You need to know the difference between the different animal tracks, and the oryx have a very sharply pointed front hoof, and you can see that evidenced by that hoof in this brilliant camera shot. It's just so cool that we can zoom into these animals. Really. Shorter horns, It's obviously a youngster. Right, so I think these are fringe-eared oryx. So if you have a look at the oryx in the center of the screen at the moment, you'll notice that there's a black tuft on the end of the ear. And that is absent from the bison oryx. We're having a look at a herd of fringe-eared oryx here, which is, I quite like that, by the way. The tufted ears and tan-colored body distinguish the fringe-eared oryx from the more grayish bison oryx. Also, there is no black on the forelegs or below the knees. Ha, all right, like you do. So thank you very much to our viewer who pointed out the other day quite nicely that I was getting it wrong. I really appreciate that sort of feedback. And like I said, I know a lot of things, but I don't know everything. And there are lots of people out there that know lots of things. One thing that is quite nice is have a look at this male bull eland. It's the one that's drinking on the right. You'll notice that he has a tuft of hair on his forehead. That's when you've got bigger muscles, you get the best drinking spot. That is exactly what we saw there. I suppose to some degree or another there's similarities between all mammals on the planet, right?
Do you want to touch the lives of future protectors of our Earth? Thanks to our wonderful WildEarth explorers, WildEarth Kids is back. Sign your class up for WildEarth schools and enjoy a special virtual field trip to Africa with interactive learning tailored for kids.
Very warm welcome to the kids from WildEarth Primary School.
We'll be dedicating the first hour of sunset safaris every Wednesday to our planet's future defenders. WildEarth, it's in your nature.
It doesn't look like it, but these eland can jump. They're quite difficult to keep fenced in. And yesterday we were briefly touching on the fact that there's been significant effort into trying to domesticate eland and use them in either in conjunction with or as a substitute to cattle in these bushy areas where diseases, where naturally occurring diseases are prevalent, and cows don't have the same resilience as what eland do. But they're tough to keep together because they jump over fences and actually become quite aggressive with each other in confined spaces, and so need large rangelands. It hasn't really been successful. They are, however, delicious for those of you out there that enjoy venison cuts. I apologize to any of you if I offended you for that comment. Most animals don't like fighting. Fighting, you stand the chance of getting injured, even if you're very healthy. A slip of a horn or just a fluke chance of fate, and you can end up with a mortal wound. And so most antelope, at least anyway, have developed these rather intriguing ways of overcoming direct physical combat with more passive forms of establishing hierarchy. One of them is just through sheer size. And so have a look at this eland bull that's just sort of right of center there. He's just magnificent if you have a look at him. We saw that older bull a bit earlier with that tuft and fringe of hair on his forehead. And then if you have a look, you'll see on these females it isn't as prevalent, but when the male steps forward, there you go, you can see that big dewlap of skin. And then running along the back of the neck and down the top of the spine is a fringe of black hair that they can actually erect. Now you can imagine if he was standing side on like he is now to an opponent and they were sizing each other up, his general physical appearance is intimidating. The size and length of his horns, how thick his neck is in his forequarters, that fringe of hair on his dewlap give the impression of a massively well-developed neck. And especially when they start to erect that fringe of hair across the back, they look very impressive. And to some degree or another, most antelope have exactly the same thing. So keep your eyes open for that through the course of the show. See if you can notice those exaggerations to an animal's profile, and see if you can pick up those subtle cues that they use. And almost always when two males come up with each other, they won't stand facing each other. They'll stand side on to each other so that they can show how impressive they are from the side before they fly into attacking each other. Melanie, all the way from Tasmania. Firstly, good morning. It's so good to hear from you again. I miss you guys. And then you've asked, do antelope interbreed with each other? It's a good question. Generally speaking, no, and the eland is a great example of this. Eland and kudu have been known to interbreed with one another. And cows can carry eland fetuses, believe it or not. And so you can hybridize to a degree. And so they're closer than you think they are. But you won't get a, for lack of a better example, giraffe mating with a buffalo, even though they're both ruminants and both mammals and, could probably do it with ease. But no, it's not going to happen like that. You also won't find leopard and lion doing that, or in fact, most animals doing that. It's not a common thing. But therein lies the question of evolution, I suppose, and positive mutation. So when there's a challenge in the environment and it's, the circumstances are such that animal numbers are in decline for whatever reason, populations become fragmented first, and then they become small. And eventually, the likelihood of mutation through interbreeding is what happens. And what happens at that point is you get an either a positive mutation, so considering the environmental circumstances at the time or the environmental challenges at the time, you get a mutation that is actually beneficial. For instance, a longer neck in a giraffe to outcompete animals for food, and fighting each other. Or you get a negative mutation, which would be, I don't know, a giraffe born with two heads, or its heart outside its body, or whatever the case may be. And that's what drives evolution. The positive mutations are the ones that are successful, the animals that are successful, and then repopulate the areas where animals were reduced in number because of the challenge. And they're the ones that go on to proliferate. And that character trait then becomes a dominant gene. So in a nutshell, that's what evolution really is. It's just positive mutation. Enabling animals of a species to either diversify completely and become a species, or at a more base level, get over whatever environmental challenge faced them. This zebra's had a haircut. See if you can see where he's had a haircut. It's always comical when I see that. I pick it up quite specifically. Oh, goodness me. So there's something around this pan that is giving these animals a fright. Could be anything. It could be a vehicle passing by. It could be herds of animals. It could be an aeroplane. We'll see if the moment passes and these animals go back to what they came here for, which is to slake their thirst. For me, the favorite part of a zebra is the chevron on its face, on its forehead. You can have a look at these ones drinking. I love their forehead patterns. And then just across their shoulder blade, so where their front leg goes into their body and the stripes blend into one another there. I don't know, I just really enjoy that triangle shape that it makes. Each zebra has a distinct stripe pattern, very similar to how human footprints or fingerprints work. So see if you can see the differences here, because you can actually get to know individual zebra. You need to have an eidetic memory to recognize these particular ones out of the herds that we get. But the one with the stubby tail, at least anyway. We'll give a cue. You can see that the two drinking, the one at the back has a much broader black stripe than the one in the front. Which one do you prefer? More black than white or more white than black? They don't really drink for long, these zebra. They drink staying very wary. We learned something about springbuck the other day while we were at our camera in Etosha at Okakweo, that adult springbuck are more vigilant than young springbuck. Springbuck on the fringes of the herd are more vigilant commonly than springbuck in the middle of the herd. And male springbuck are the most vigilant in the herd, the members of the herd who are most vigilant. And I'm wondering if there isn't some similarity with zebra. The ones at the edges of the herd are going to be the targets for lion. I wonder if it's the same where young zebra are not as vigilant as adult zebra. I think that's 100% the truth. I just, through experience, adult zebra know lions pose a threat. And then zebra in the middle of the herd are less vigilant than ones on the... then male zebra are more vigilant than any of the others. I'd have to watch some zebra for a while to tell you the answer to that. Here we have another fringe-eared oryx. Isn't that giraffe standing there so majestically, towering above the zebra? Five meters up into the air, with that 15, 16 feet. And one of these zebra could walk clean under its belly without touching the sides. Trisha, you've just commented, and thank you very much for sending through your comment, that there's such amazing views from Old Donyo. I 100% agree with you, Trisha. I mean, what we're not seeing is there, sort of behind where the giraffe is standing now, is Mount Kilimanjaro on a clear day. Last Saturday, in fact, we could see the mountain so clearly. It's hidden now by a cloud. But with Kilimanjaro in the background, it just turns what is an already very exciting pan into something that is just spectacular. There's something close by scaring. Not scaring the oryx as much as it's making the zebra nervous. You'll probably find that zebra's going to go. I mean, gosh, that giraffe's going to go and find water somewhere else. Right, why don't we give this pan time to reset and recalibrate, and we're going to head off to one of our other cameras and see what's going on there. And just like that, we're from Kenya to South Africa, where we've moved to Madekwe Game Reserve and Jamala. And this pan is cooking at the moment. Gosh. We've got, starting in the front, moving left clockwise around, we've got blue wildebeest, impala, zebra, buffalo, elephant. Wow. A lot of animals. Goodness me. All the wildebeest. This is amazing. It's this volume of animals around these waterholes that will eventually draw in the predators. And it would surprise me if we didn't, at some point in the next 6 weeks, see a lion pride setting up camp close by and picking off animals that need to come and drink. This will be one of the few waterholes in this area. And of course, everything that needs to drink will have to come to it. There's no rain puddles anymore or little seeps. Those are all starting to dry up. The collection of animals is just insane. It's a female elephant with her calf. Some more animals coming in from the far right, up the drainage line, up the riverbed. There's Jamala Camp you're seeing on the right hand side. It burnt down a while ago, and you can see some workers there just busy building the camp. And how tolerant are these animals of the human presence? It's just incredible. You'd excuse the noise that they make, please. It's just general noise associated to construction from time to time, and they of course need to build the lodge so that they can get guests into the camp. Unfortunately, the way conservation works at the moment is it needs to pay for itself, and one of the ways that it pays for itself is with tourists coming to spend their money in these areas, apart from donations, of course. And also, tourism employs local people at a massive rate. It's one of the biggest and best sources of employment in these very far, remote wilderness areas. And so Jamala absolutely has to get up and running. A very important part of the puzzle here. Idealistically, we'd all love wilderness areas to just sort of miraculously look after themselves and generate money from fresh air for anti-poaching and I don't know, whatever you want to call it, whatever. There's 1,000 different roles for conservationists. Do you think it's comfortable or uncomfortable for a wildebeest to be eating grass? I'm talking about having their neck hanging down. I suppose it's a rather stupid question, excuse me. They've probably evolved exactly the right muscles to carry their head and their horns and keep it in that down position. I'm applying what I would be feeling like with my head hanging below my knees all day. Mainly because I tried to do some stretches after a run I did earlier, and my Achilles tendon or hamstrings are so tight I can hardly bend over. Sign of the times. That impala on the left hand side is a beauty of a specimen. Probably his harem of females. And you can just see how great his horns are. All right, let's give this some time to reset. Go and have a look at what's happening elsewhere. What have we got here? Oh, lion. The lions just arrived. So this is Africam Tower Lodge. Still in talking about lions around waterholes. Gosh. So this is Africam Tower Lodge, still in Madikwe. And we've got a lioness that's just walked out of the bushes now into the view. She's on the back of a plane, and these wildebeest are not running away because it's easier to look at a lion and know where it is, knowing you can get away, and not knowing where this lion went. And then she goes and lies down. So that is exactly what I was talking about. The vast herds of animals around these waterholes have called in the predators, or caught the notice of the predators, and now it's just a waiting game. If the camera is sensitive enough, you will hear alarm calls. It'll be a blow. You can see every now and again the wildebeest bodies convulse, and that's them blowing a warning call, alerting other animals that there's a predator here. No chance of a lion catching a wildebeest now. They're way too alert. And these wildebeest have all the advantage. They can not only see the lion, but they've also got a speed advantage on this open ground. But once they leave, the wildebeest that approach through the bush and come and have a drink, they don't know the lion is there. And that is when these lions will have the advantage. So Tau is absolutely a camera we need to keep our eye on, because when it happens, it's going to happen quick. What an epic surprise this morning. I can already see these wildebeest are losing interest. No threat, and so carry on with their day. They can't stick around here because there's no food. They're going to need to move. And when they move off, the new wildebeest will move in, or other wildebeest will move in. Wind also picking up. works in the lion's favor, not only blowing the scent of the lion away, but also masking their outlines by having wavy grass in the background. And you can see the almost perfect camouflage. These animals, of course, they see lion all the time. It's nothing new to them. While they're very scared of it and nervous, they don't change their behavior that much. There's a relationship here that has been going on for eons. And lion only really have the upper hand when things are in their favor. Other than that, the zebra can easily outrun the lion at this distance. And so they're just going to carry on with their day as if nothing has happened. Nicole, you just say they're just afraid of being ambushed. You're 100% right there, Nicole. That is exactly it. Lions are scary when they get up close, particularly if they've got an advantage. If I was, or one of these zebra were sick or lame or got cornered somewhere between a dense thicket or even the water, that then starts turning the tide. Interesting to see what happens. Let's go have a look at the temperature quickly around now. So we just had some interesting feedback. One of our zoomies controlling the camera says that there's a breeding pair of lions there. It looks like they're mating. So I would assume from that comment that there's a male lion lying there somewhere, and the female that we saw is the the other half of the pair. And we'll see by the frequency that they're mating or what part of the cycle they're in. So they'll mate anywhere from every 2 minutes or so at the height of estrus to sort of once every half an hour, 20 minutes. Then eventually it tapers off once an hour, and then the males carry on with their endless patrolling of their territories, and the female will rejoin her sisterhood. It'll give us some opportunity here to see how frequent it is. We haven't seen the male. The female, she wants to go flop down under the bush that is off to the right. I'm assuming that the male is pretty close to that. They're almost inseparable while the female's in estrus.
Not everyone gets excited to hear a leopard chuff, spot a pangolin, or see a real impala rut. But if you are wild about the wild, you can become part of a community of like-minded nature lovers and share authentic wildlife experiences with the world. Join the Explorers Club and you will also enjoy the many benefits that come with it too. WildEarth Explorers, it's in your nature.
I think that safari car that just passed us there has missed the lions, actually. I think that that female is pretty well hidden. And without the wildebeest and the zebra staring at the lions the whole time, they won't know where it is. So it's just to the left of that bush in the center of the screen. She's lying up there in the grass. Now it's just a bit of a waiting game. You know, luckily, personally, lions are relatively boring to watch. They don't do much except sleep. They sleep anywhere up to 16 hours a day. And unless they're mating or setting up a hunt, it can be quite frustrating to sit and watch them. You're normally out in the open because the lions love lying up in the only shade that's available. Michelle, you just commented that it'd be quite a treat to see the lions on the Waterhole cameras. It absolutely is a treat. Let's see what this Impala might do. I still think that due to the depth of field here, that even though that Impala looks really close to where that vehicle's parked and obviously where those lions are, there's no real danger for it just yet. You probably find that those lions are lying up just because of the way cameras work, lying up quite far from that Impala, and Impala are very agile. So there you got a field guide now parked next to the lions. There you go, kindly pointing out where to look. And obviously very relaxed with these lions. So for those of you out there that are wondering if you'd ever come to Africa or not, because it's dangerous and you're going to get eaten by everything and its auntie, that, if nothing else, will reassure you that visiting Africa is perfectly normal and safe, relatively speaking. All right, why don't we go and have a look at Jamala while these lions decide what they're going to do. Goodness me, look at this. So still the same elephant, cow, and calf that we had, probably the same wildebeest herd and some zebra. There's another elephant that's coming now. Goodness me. So we're still in Madekwe. For those of you that have just joined the show and don't quite know yet where all these different locations are, we're in South Africa. We're looking at Jamala Camp's Waterhole, or Jamala Pan. We were just at Africamp Tau, and Tau is another camp that's inside Madekwe. Madekwe is a large game reserve, around 70 to 80,000 hectares, with so what's that, about 150,000 acres, and is the fourth or fifth largest game reserve in South Africa, and is right up on the Botswana border, and an absolute marvel of conservation. This area didn't have many wild animals left in it at all when it was first proclaimed a couple of decades ago, 30 years or so. And through a very concerted conservation effort, animals were reintroduced. And what we're seeing today is just the fruits of that labor and the vision of it. Now is home to one of the largest populations of elephant in a game reserve. Very healthy populations of predators. As you can see, nothing wrong with the general game numbers either. A self-sustaining ecosystem. The animal's still streaming in towards the water. Melanie, Madikwe is simply stunning, you write in today. It is. It really is. Being on the sort of fringe between the Kalahari and the Bushveld, it spans two very distinct areas and sort of marks the boundary between the two. And so you get you get characteristics of both. It's dry, but there are rainstorms. I mean, this year, for instance, earlier this year, I think it was either this year or no, it was this year. Massive rain in this area, closing down most of the park actually at the beginning of the year. It was just people were just unable to drive anywhere to go and see anything, and it was thick, thick green, lush green. As you can see now, it's dry, and these water holes. There's not much water left. You can see it's mostly just mud, and everything's looking grey and red depending on the soils that are around that particular area. Sky is starting to get that characteristic whitish tinge to it. That's so typical of the September, October skies. Hot already. 80 degrees Fahrenheit already where we are. Not much wind in this little valley. Wind is blowing a little bit today up in Madikwe. I say up. Relative to me, it's up. Up and much further west than I'm sitting at the moment. I'm on the borders of the Kruger National Park. I'm actually looking into the Kruger as we speak. That's so cool. Great big fig tree, it looks like in the background. Tough to say at this distance, but it has the sort of general size and shape of a fig. And you're just watching this elephant. She's just relaxing. It's a large female. Watching this wildebeest. Couldn't care less that there was an elephant standing right there. See the zebra drinking off on the bottom left-hand side. Very cautious. And that's because there are crocodiles and water bodies in Madikwe. So unlike what we see in Etosha, where animals just sort of wade into the water, it's not very common that you'll see them doing that. And you watch that little zebra struggle in the mud. It is a unfortunate thing where animals do get stuck in mud from time to time. I've seen, look at that warthog scratching himself in the stump. You'll see he's going to scratch his bum now. He's having a good old scratch. He's just had a mud bath. Let's see if he scratches his bum. Still just busy scratching his flank. These cameras are so cool. Such a great view of these elephant river. All right, that line looks like it's up. Let's go and have a look. Alrighty, so there we go. There we've got a lioness. She's gonna. There, okay, there's the male. There's the male. He's covering her. It's gonna happen quick. You'll notice that. Let's see. He tends to bite her. There he goes. Okay, so that was it. That was a male lion covering a female. You can. I don't know if you heard the noises, but you noticed that he was biting on the back of the neck, and then at climax, it's painful. There's a barb on the end of the male, and it hurts the female, and she then gets quite aggressive and will quite often lash out. And the only way that he can avoid being clawed in the face is to have some sort of aggression himself, and so that's what we're witnessing, and straight back to sleep again. So that would lead me to believe that these two are at the end of their mating cycle, and that her body is starting to taper down. He's covered her, all of her eggs are fertilized, and it's just the last. He's just responding, and she's just responding to the last little bits of, oh, he's a magnificent male. Let's see where he goes. He's walking right up to that car. Don't worry, he's not going to jump in. We would have seen him rush in at the car if he was anywhere angry with it. Goodness me, what a beautiful animal. Such good condition. Is there another one? Yep.
Discover the wonders of the wild with Safari Snaps, Africam's fun community game. While enjoying the live streams, simply tag the animal you spot. Each tag earns you points based on the rarity of the species. The rarer, the more points you score. Your profile and the Safari Snaps leaderboard will keep track of your impressive tagging skills. Join us on Safari Snaps and let's celebrate the wonders of African wildlife together.
They tend to sleep about 16 hours a day on average. I don't know about the lions here in Madikwe, but lions elsewhere, male lions can walk incredible distances at night time. I was following some male lions up in Namibia once for a couple of months, and it wasn't uncommon for a male lion to walk between 40 and 60 kilometers in one night. Um, I've worked with some lions up in close to Madikwe, not in Madikwe. There we go. There he stands up. Let's see what's got his interest. His pan is a hive of activity at the moment, and so he's probably quite aware of all the movement in the bush around him. And if they have been mating for some time, he's going to be rather hungry. They don't have much time for anything else when they're mating. That female's just gone flat down on her back. She's not moving at all. That's not to say that they won't hunt when they're mating. It's just that hunting and eating and patrolling territory or managing social bonds between pride members is not a priority. It's there. They will do it, but their priority is with each other at the moment. See how their presence has virtually emptied this plain in front of us of general game. I don't know what animals are sort of left or right of this particular mating pair. You might find that given a couple of minutes, the herds will start to come back again. But the noise of their coupling would have carried quite far, and animals would absolutely associate that noise with lions in the area and might even choose to avoid it. Right, let's give them some time to do what they're doing. Why don't we go and have a look at what's happening at Old Donia? Yes, that is so cool. We got a giraffe going out to drink. Very carefully. Goodness. It's such an uncomfortable position to be in, it looks like. So watch, he'll flick his head up now when he's finished drinking. There you go. They always sort of have that little shake, either right as they flick up or just afterwards, like we saw there. Not quite finished his drink. He's going to go down for some more. This one on the far left looking like it also wants to come. So we've moved out of South Africa to Oldonyo, Africam's Oldonyo camp, which is in Kenya, which is 3 countries away. We, in the flash of an eye, went across the South African border through Botswana, and Botswana through Zambia, Zambia through Tanzania, Tanzania into southern parts of Kenya where we are now. In an aeroplane, it takes about 4.5 hours to do the same distance. That is the marvels of the technology we're looking at now. And it took me 10 days to drive it. So 10 days by car, 4.5 hours by Airbus 380, and literally 1 second camera to camera. Ray, you've asked an interesting question. Now, how do you age a giraffe? That is a great question, Ray. All right. So obviously their size and their weight play a role. Then male giraffe is slightly easier than with female giraffe. Male giraffe, if you have a look at this one on the right, you'll notice in profile, you'll see that there's this knobbly protrusion of bone on the bridge of his nose and above his eyes and at the back of his horns. What you do is you have a look at how much calcification has happened around those areas. So how well developed is that hump above his eye, for instance? Now you can see that hump. And on his eyebrow, there's another patch that calcifies out. How robust are his horns? What do the calcification nodes on the back of the horns look like? Then what condition the skin is in. And you can gauge significantly, you can sort of gauge the age of a giraffe approximately using those markers. But it's not an easy thing to do, Ray. Obviously, young giraffe, small giraffe, it's easy. Young giraffe carry around an umbilical cord for a couple of weeks. They get weaned off of mother's milk at a specific age. Female giraffe have their first babies at a specific age. Male giraffe leave the natal herd at a specific age. And from there, then it just becomes a bit of guesswork until, well, nothing really dies of old age out here. But when they start to lose condition as a result of age. We've got a female eland coming in again. These are not the Cape eland that we see in Namibia. These are the Patterson's eland, and they occur in this part of Africa. We've been giving some of you some lessons on how to sex a giraffe. See what sex you think the giraffe is on the far left, the one drinking now. So if you're picking up the cue, you look at the top of the horn. The male giraffe are bald on top of their horns, where females are tufted. So we're looking at a male giraffe on the left-hand side. And the one that was on the right was a female. So the two on the right are females. One on the far left is a male. those of you quite observant, you'll notice that there's quite a few birds that are flying in. We've got turtle doves, the grey birds that are just flying straight to the pan's edge. The ones I want to speak about are the birds that are landing on the giraffe. These are oxpeckers. All right. Something disturbed them. They finished drinking, they're going to move off. Those oxpeckers, for the most part, have been now transferred to the eland. Oh, here we got some starlings coming in. These are superb starlings, one of my favorite East African birds. You can see those glossy feathers. It's an iridescence from a melanin saturated feather that then has a clear keratin coat around it, which causes infraction of light and gives us that iridescence. And that chestnut belly and white underparts, white vent, that is characteristic of the superb starling with a white eye. Like just an incredibly showy bird.
Those sounds just go straight through you.
These are all female eland. Now, obviously, it's quite difficult if you don't know what to look for. It's quite difficult to be able to sex the eland, but these are all females. Their horns are just not as well developed and as robust as the males would be. Now, it is WildEarth's mission to reconnect people with nature. And one of the ways that you can help if you want is by making a donation. And if you just visit our website, you'll see that you'll be drawn to a donations button. Click on that and pledge your support. It will be much appreciated. Something is in this area is not making these eland happy, but I think that's got a large lot to do with the wind blowing. Animals don't like wind. So there you can quite clearly see that this oxpecker doesn't have any yellow on its beak and is just red. It's busy preening. It's just had a bath, which is why it looks wet. And interestingly, they have a comb on their beak, which allows them to comb fine mites out of the hair and the fur of animals. But they also keep wounds open. They eat a lot of blood, and they often peck and keep wounds open and free of parasites. Quite often they keep the wounds open for longer than they should be. It's so cool watching him having a bath on this eland, drying himself off. Let's see if we can go down a little bit and watch what he's doing. He's probably going feeding on the ear or the nose. Such a great in the ear. There you go. So feeding on injuries in the ear, ticks and mites, earwax, all of that sort of forms the food of the oxpecker. You can go have a look at that. Straight in the ear hole. Gosh, can you imagine? This eland cow is just submitting to it because she wants to keep her ear clean, but there, under the tail, it's the next place where there's, gosh, it's a busy little bird, eh? Become quite frisky after his bath. What a great shot. Big cow. She looks like she's carrying a baby. I have to say, actually, that she does look a little bit more rounder. Could just be the sign of the year, the ruminants, and so they do eat a lot of food at this time of the year. Not very nutritious. And giraffe standing. Goodness, what a picture. Another way giraffe walk, they pace. So have a look at their walk. All the legs on the left hand side of the body at the same time, and then all the legs on the right hand side of the body at the same time. Hyena do the same. Hippo, humans. Definitely something off there that's grabbed their attention. I love a giraffe's tail. I mean, that fur is probably a meter long, 3 feet of just tuft.
you love relaxing at a waterhole with the sights and sounds of Africa all around you? Well, we have some really exciting news for you. From August 1st, Africam is joining forces with WildEarth to bring the majesty of Africa right into your living room with 9 incredible new waterhole cameras from across South Africa and Kenya. Get ready to embark on a new journey. This is Live at the Waterhole.
Such a characteristic shape of that tree in the background. That's the umbrella thorn, one of the vitilias, which is we used to call them acacias or trees with thorns. And that shape that you see there is the trees, talking about evolution a little bit earlier, it's the tree's evolution to avoid all its leaves being browsed off. So by having a very flat topped crown that's lifted quite high off the ground, you really don't have much to worry about your leaf structure in the middle of the tree. So that generates all the food for the plant and sacrifices only the fringes to the giraffe. Coming to watch New Zealand drink. Patterson Zealand again. A group of females. Pretty average size herd of Patterson's eland. We've got a brave one. Quite surprised we haven't seen that many elephant around today. Although I must be honest, apart from an elephant, when an elephant does arrive around about this time of the show, it usually sticks around for ages, but definitely the biggest elephant that we've seen coming to visit, or at least while I've been hosting the show, has been toward the latter half of the show. So it's going to be quite interesting to see what comes in. We've had an elephant here. I think we had 3 elephants when we first came here earlier this morning, hour and a half ago. They moved off pretty quick. Since then, we've just had the oryx, herds of fringeid oryx, and then these Patterson's eland and some plain zebra. Curly locks, that's an interesting name. You've just asked if, you've asked how many babies do eland typically have? Just one. It's not uncommon for an eland to have two. I don't think twins are common, but I do think they have been recorded. But generally speaking, only one. And it is a precocial baby. In other words, they're born fully formed and able to stand within a couple of minutes of being born. Very similar to a lot of the antelope poacher. And the reason for that is that they can't waste time with babies that can't move. It becomes significantly risky for them. And so most antelope species, the babies are up and at it very quickly. And are able to run very soon after birth. So nice to see. Gosh. They're big. If you're just joining a show for the first time now and wanting to know sort of how big these are about as big as what domesticated cattle are. So females are anywhere sort of around the 600 to 800 pounds, 300 to sort of 600 kgs. And the males will go all the way up to 2,000 pounds, 900 kgs. This female looks like she's got some mange on the top of her flanks. So Coptic mange is a skin mite, and sometimes what happens is it, particularly I've seen it with giraffe. She looks like she's got a little bit. If she picks up a little bit of condition, and it looks like she's well on her way to being quite healthy, that'll just leave a little bit of scarring rather than being completely debilitated. Of course, if she loses condition any further, or if she loses a significant portion of her condition, the mange can actually get to a point where it starts to become a threat for her life. But that is pretty rare. The only way to tell if she's actually got that mange is by taking a skin sample and looking at it under a microscope. but that really looks like the symptoms of one. Just asked how easy it is for a lion to catch an eland. Gosh. But it's a great question, that, because generally speaking, lion sort of prey between the 50 to 250 kilogram mark is their preferred prey weight. And eland come in at almost double that. So lion are actually geared toward catching things the size of the oryx that we've seen now, zebra or wildebeest. That's their sort of prime weight category. And then youngsters of the larger antelope. So things like eland, it would be far easier for lions to catch babies than it would be for them to catch adults. But lions are very opportunistic. Specific prides of lions will learn how to catch whatever prey is the most prevalent in their area. In this area, there are a lot of eland, and I would imagine that the lions in this particular place have learned how to catch eland. And it wouldn't surprise me if lions here do catch a lot of eland, but it's not very common in most places. So much more to see lion on wildebeest and zebra and impala kills than it is to see them on eland or giraffe or buffalo kills. But in area where there's a lot, or only giraffe, or a lot and only large animals, you'll see that the lions will prey mostly on them. And in some areas in Africa, in the Chobe National Park, for instance, lions even hunt full-grown bull elephant. Just think about that. The lion, big male lion that we saw just now at Tower Lodge, he's weighing in at 200 kilograms, 250 kilograms. That's a big male lion. And they are able, as a pride, to bring down elephant bulls weighing 3 tons, 4 tons. So that, if nothing else, will give you an idea of how adaptable lions are to hunting virtually anything. So nice seeing these eland around. We've seen a lot of them here today. But why don't we go and have a look at Tower Lodge, talking about that, and see what those lions are up to. And just like that, we've got a picture of a bush. For those of you just joining us, or have joined us just for a couple of minutes, there is a mating pair of lion that is behind that bush there somewhere. It's a male and a female, a really big male lion, and a full-grown female from the looks, the brief visual that we had of her as she walked into that thicket. They mated once after about 25 minutes of arriving. And I would imagine that they've probably mated once since then as well, unless it really is a tapering off of their mating of this period. The vehicle in the background with the roof on. And they could have come into this area for any number of reasons. So mating pairs of lions usually wander a little bit. She would not be with her sisters and her siblings in the pride. And the male wouldn't be with his coalition, if indeed he is part of a coalition. And they are in their territory, the territory that the females establish. Oh, here we go. Goodness, it just shows you. anything can happen out here in Africa at any time. This is a breeding herd of African elephant. They're coming to drink, and it'll be really cool to watch them drink. It's super hot today, probably in the low 90s already in the Dikwe. And they would be hot after their march from feeding areas to the water. No danger from the lions. In this area, lions are not known for killing elephant. Look at those babies. Those two babies are younger than a year old, talking about how to age animals. And I know that because there's no external tusks visible yet. At about a year, the tusks start erupting. The lead female, the adult cow there, and all of the ones around will be their babies. Yesterday we watched elephants have a bath in this town. It was the most glorious thing. They were literally swimming, going underwater, rolling onto their sides, kicking up into the air. Let's see what these elephants make of the water. They'll just be drinking once a day. And these females will drink anywhere sort of from, I don't know, I suppose about 50 liters of water, which is divided by 5, so 10 gallons of water, all the way up to about 150 liters, depending on the size of the female. Just look at these little ones. Mom and auntie forward and back, and all the vulnerable members of the herd in the middle. She's not wasting time. She's just coming straight to the water. You can see the youngsters now starting to speed up. The anticipation of slaking their thirsts and spraying their flanks must be overwhelming. And you'll notice if they're thirsty or hot by what they do first. So if they take water and they spray it behind their ears first without drinking it, then you know that they are hot and need to cool down. And if they start drinking first, it's because they're not that hot. They're thirsty, and they'll probably end up spraying themselves after they finish. Really great work to the person who's controlling the camera. Thank you very much. You're doing such a great job. It's difficult to control these webcams, actually. It's not easy to make it do what you want it to do. And particularly not at Zoom like we are now. They would have walked in on a game path. And now, let's see, she's probably going to go down there. Yeah, there's a little beach there. You often see warthog drinking down there. Let's see what she does. Are you going to wet yourself first, or are you going to drink first? There you go. Let's see what she does. Straight into her mouth. All right, so thirsty more than hot. All of them. There you go. Oh, there's a crocodile. Gosh. There you have a Nile crocodile. He won't move unless these ellies get close to him or her. Didn't even notice it until we zoomed in a little bit. That little ellie that's busy drinking there tells me that he's older than 6 months. Ellies that are younger than 6 months battle to drink with their trunks. It takes quite a lot of coordination to learn how to drink with the trunk. It's not something that elephants are born with. They have to practice the skill. Very similar to how human babies have to practice walking and picking things up. There's a fine motor coordination that needs to happen. But because it doesn't have its little tusks erupted yet, older than 6 months, but younger than 12. Look at this little guy busy scratching his ear on mom's flanks. Previous calf.
Did you know that the WildEarth team makes weekly behind the safari content? Would you like to get to know the WildEarth family better? See how we live.
This is Igor's bedroom.
Learn about our production process. And see the antics that happen off camera. Sign up to be an explorer and you will get access to all this content and more.
Never really ceases to amaze me what elephant can get up to with their trunks, frankly. The fact that they're sniffing up the water there and blowing it into their mouths is just one thing. But you saw that elephant there busy blowing water, quite a lot of water as well, up onto her trunk just to cool the front of her face down. Exactly the opposite to what this crocodile is doing. This crocodile has come out of the water and has flattened itself out. You can see how wide its belly is and how low down it is. Flattened out the majority of its body toward the sun in an effort to try and build up heat. They look a bit skinny, that crocodile, I must be honest with you. They're still fat in their tail, so from their back legs backwards, crocodiles store a lot of their energy that they need up in their tails. Crocodiles probably mostly eating fish at this size. They do pass a point where they don't eat fish anymore. So when crocodiles are first born, they eat insects. Then they move on to small fish and larger fish and larger fish, and then onto mammals and carcasses, scavenging. The biggest crocodiles are able to kill full-grown zebra. And it's not uncommon for you to see footage out there. I've never seen it myself, but it's not uncommon to see footage out there of crocodiles biting elephant on the trunk. They won't be able to take down the elephant at all. And striking sort of black and white bird that you're seeing just underneath the elephant's face is a blacksmith lapwing. Getting its name from the sound of its call, which, I don't know, with a bit of imagination sounds like when you take a hammer or a ball bearing and you bounce it onto an anvil. That very metallic noise. This elephant just sucking his trunk on the left hand side. Such a bizarre animal. This one on the right, the ears flapped wide open. There's something there that has gotten its attention. When its ears are wide open like that, there's something there that's intriguing the elephant. It's just a body language. And that lifting of the ears up above the shoulder blades is another telltale sign. Skin on the ears comprising roughly 20% of the total skin on an elephant. Think about that. You can see it on these females, just their ears are in such good condition. All right, let's give these at least some time to finish up on their drinks. Let's go and see what's happening at Jamala. Still within Madikwe, but now a little bit further south of where we were. Not by much. We've got a sounder of warthog having a proper mud bath and some ellies. Another herd of elephant. Gosh, there's just elephant everywhere today. Really quite nice. There's two ellies busy having a bit of a tussle. Those are two youngsters just having a wrestle. Wouldn't surprise me if they're two males. And I had some water and a bit of a mud bath, and I'm now done. And now it's games time. You can have a look at our elephants. They look quite clumsy when they climb up things, but let me tell you that they're actually very maneuverable. Some of the places I've seen elephants climbing for people to get to, let alone a 4 or 5 ton animal. Could be 2 different herds here. Little baby coming up the bank. Charles, you've commented about how much you love the scene. Yeah, it's quintessentially African, Charles. Waterhole, dry African bush, and then elephants standing drinking with their accompaniments. Zebra and impala in the background, some warthog. I must agree with you there, Charles. It's so nice to watch the elephant doing what they're doing naturally. I mean, it's a privilege to be able to watch these animals and to just be. You can see this youngster now is trying to socialize with mom, resting his head on her tusk. It's the same as, I suppose, my son coming and just wanting a little bit of physical contact. And Ellie having a bit of a sand bath on the right hand side. You can see the clouds of dust coming up into the sky. They were often sand bath as well as mud bath. And it's just an effort to try and drive off parasites, but also to add an extra layer of protection from the sun. And it gives the elephant the sort of color of the local soil. So here they tend to be white and red. In other areas they tend to be darker gray. Other areas more white. There's the elephant on the right having a proper sand bath. And those two zebra having a bit of a nipping match at one another. Quite aggressive zebra, actually.
Stay up to date with the latest happenings at WildEarth. Discover what goes on behind the scenes and get a weekly recap of the best moments on the channel.
He's got it! And he's straight up a tree!
Sign up to be an explorer and receive our newsletter written just for you and sent straight to your inbox every week. WildEarth Explorers, a club for people who are passionate about nature.
Thank you for joining us and have a fantastic morning.
Elephants will often, there you go, you saw her smelling at the dung pile and then lifting her trunk up to her mouth. So watching an oryx do that a little bit earlier with a female, I was mentioning the Jacobson's glands on the roof of the mouth. So what's happening there is that elephant is reading the newspaper, basically. There's a piece of dung there that's got some news to tell. And what that elephant did was suck up the scent from that piece of dung and then slowly puff the scent into her mouth, opening up those glands, and she'd be able to tell, who knows what, from what chemicals she'd be able to tell. Not only what that elephant was eating, but also, I suppose, I'm assuming this is just my imagination, but what its name was, how old it was, definitely hormonal status, whether it was male or female. It's interesting, very, very highly developed sense of smell, and something they rely on quite heavily as well. What's that elephant doing? He's with head down the bank with his feet on the top of the bank. He's going to do a somersault. Look at that. Look at that silly little elephant busy. I don't know what he's busy doing. He's got his head off the side of the bank. Obviously can't reach what he was trying to reach, and now just having a bit of a game. He's going to fall off. Silly guy. There he goes, down the bank. Yeah, doof. Well, now what? Now he can't get back up there again. What a clown. Yeah, there's warthog. sort of middle left. What's the one having a scratch on that stump? Is that a mud pot? They're going to have a proper scratch out there. Scratch over. That little elephant on the left that fell off the bank, he looked like he was getting quite feisty and was wanting to chase something. I'm trying to control kids at a shopping mall. Impala chasing each other around all over the place. Something's happening. Right, one camera that we haven't been at yet today is Okakoyo. Why don't we go and have a look at what's happening over there? Here we've come into north central Namibia, a whole nother country away, to Tosha National Park. And we're looking at a camera with a very subdued light. That yellowish tinge is because of dust in the atmosphere. Now, I'm imagining that because of that, the lack of wind that we see now, that at some point during the evening the wind was blowing as hard as what it was here, opposite end of the continent, as what it was there. This is a bull elephant. They don't get very big tusks in Namibia. There's a mineral deficiency that doesn't allow the elephant here to grow very big tusks at all. But their bodies get quite big nonetheless. So this is a mature bull elephant. And then the antelope that we're having a look at are springbuck, which we sometimes find in Madekwe, but occur in fairly large numbers here. And then on the left, it looks like we've got a impala. These impala would be endemic to this area. They're the black-faced impala, and they only occur in Etosha. It's a subspecies of impala that only occur here. Let's see what this Ellie's going to do. Is he also going to wade out into the water and have a swim, the same as what the springbuck are doing? Or is he just going to be content? He sits on the edge of the beach and just get his feet wet. Let's see. Interestingly, let's see what the temperature is doing here now. It's going to be fairly hot today in Etosha. Temperature's picking up nicely. It's also 84 degrees centigrade or 30 degrees, 84 degrees Fahrenheit, 30 degrees centigrade at the moment. Let's see what the wind is doing. What the expectation is. No, wind is very low, so nothing big. But the temperatures look like they are picking up through the week. This being firmly in the Kalahari or Namib, I think. It's one of the deserts. The Namib being the driest desert on earth, I think. No surface water occurring in it whatsoever. And the Kalahari being one of the most ancient. Stretching all the way from Angola all the way into South Africa. pretty typical of Etosha is the swimming antelope. Like you see that springbuck on the left-hand side is sort of waded out right up to its flanks. You often see them doing that. And those white concrete rocks that you see in the distance there, strewn over this plain, pretty typical of this area. Etosha, the salt pans are enormous, and were the deepest part, the pans themselves were the deepest part of a vast inland sea. Because we're going to retreat it to an elephant swimming. Let's see if he goes in all the way. You're going to go for a swim, big guy. Doesn't want to be outdone by the springbuck. He's also got some big boy panties on today. Oh, he's looking for some mud in the bottom of the pan. Look how he's now going to spray the mud over his back, ears, flanks, head. There you go. That is so cool. Quite some force that they spray that mud on. Dislodges parasites, I'm assuming, and flies, and gets it into sort of every nook and cranny that it can find, forcing itself in there. See if he flings some over onto his back. There you go. Gosh. You missed half of your body. Spray the springbuck. Starbuck, you've asked a good question. How do they know that there's no crocodiles in this water? They don't actually know that there were crocodiles in this water. And so it's a weird thing. Animals in areas like this, there's never been this amount of surface water. There's, I'm not going to say never. When this was an inland sea, I would imagine that there were crocodiles here. But in modern day times, there's not that much surface water here. And crocodiles haven't been able to survive for any number of reasons. So although you do find large crocodiles in the Kunene River, which is a couple of dozen kilometers north of Etosha, there's no crocodiles here. And you find lots of crocodiles in the Okavango Delta and in the Yanti swamps. Like I say, I've seen crocodiles on the Kunene River, which is the border between Namibia and Angola. But you don't find them here. And I think that the animals just don't realize that the water holds any fear. They don't react to older members of the species or anyone else. They don't see crocodiles coming out of the water and smashing members of their species or anything else. And so I think they just wade into the water, A, to get to cleaner water, but also B, just for the sheer joy of it. Can you imagine living in a desert and never seeing open water like this? I'd also swim into it when I see it. The elephant has almost got his whole body covered. Just missing a little bit of a spot in his one bum cheek. Other than that, he's got himself pretty covered. That is just so cool.
Chatting around a fire is an ancient practice that has connected humanity for centuries, and we want to keep it alive in our modern age. As an explorer, you'll have access to intimate gatherings with our naturalists, fascinating guests, and experts where we share knowledge, insights, and stories around a crackling fire. Rediscover the power of connection. Sign up to be an explorer today and experience the magic of WildEarth's Fireside Chats.
Still busy drinking, so he's had his mud bath. Didn't wet himself. He very deliberately dug with his trunk into the sand and the sediment at the bottom of the pan and wet himself with mud. A couple of naturally occurring seeps and wells on the edge of the salt pan that have these white calcrete rocks produce a white sand, obviously, and the sand gets dissolved into these puddles, and these elephant, when they start coating themselves with it, turn almost white. So this particular one, he's going to be great for the rest of the day. Constant movement wherever you look. Very thick bases to his tusks, this elephant. It's definitely not a young bull. Old bull. Right, let's leave him to his business and see what's happening back at Tao, where we've got some lions lying up. Here we go. So there are some lions around this pan, but I think they'd be keeping their distance from these elephant. Yesterday, we watched elephant in this particular mud bath have the best time ever. And I'm imagining that these ellies are going to do the same. There's some guinea fowl off to the left. Look at this youngster busy tusking the side. There he goes. And boom. Look at that little baby sliding around in the mud. Oh, they just have such a ball. That is super cool. Just watch them fall, man. There's the little baby. There he goes. He's gonna blow some bubbles. Yep. Absolute best. Battling to get out on this on the mud. It's super slippery. Look, he's gonna struggle. Let's see how he goes. Whoop, whoop, whoop. No, he's gonna have a bit of a panic now. Whoop, whoop. Mom's gonna have to help him. So there, mommy and auntie to the rescue. So he was having a bit of a panic. They're gonna get him out. They all help. He's having a bit of a struggle, but look what they do. They all band together. You can see the stress is clear. They're coming together there, and up he goes. Gosh. So nice to see them helping each other like that. That was such a great sequence. This Ellie's still having a full-on bath. Okay, she's also now going to get up there. Let's see if this one fares any better. I'm going to have to walk somewhere else to get out. So many elephants coming down for a swim. The elephant deciding it's not using her tusks and her trunk and her knees. Let's see if she manages to get up. Yeah, ooh, bit of a struggle. There you go. Use my face and my tusks. That's so good. Goodness, use my coffee, man. That is so cool. Yeah. These guys are really silly. They're having a bit of a wrestle. One can't get out, so now they have to skirt the side of the pond. And they'll come out on this beat. Pick the hard way. Let's see if this one also uses the trick. No, he's got brother that's giving him nonsense. You just walk along the water, you'll get out easier. Stop doing it. No, gonna use his tusks. It's a neat trick, eh? No. Oh. There you go. That is so cool. Made my day. No, wait for me. Don't walk away. Run. Run. Being left behind. Classic. Full speed. That's so goofy when they run. That grey heron in the foreground just going, what the hell? Some kudu off on the left. What's this one doing? Kicking its feet up. All full of beans. Wait, run. What's this one doing? Looks drunk. There's one on the right hand side. Just wanting some duster. There you go. So I had a mud bath and I was just coating themselves with some dust, helping with a little bit of sun protection. Some female kudu in the background. Also coming down for a drink. Definitely well within the prey size of those lion that are lying up in the thicket close to here. Although those lions, with so many elephant around, those ellies will chase those lions around. Some warthog coming. You can see that warthog giving himself a belly scratch on the side of the water. This camera has been rocking today. So many animals. Quite obviously a male elephant off on the right. But a youngster, not an old bull. So for those of you who are quite observant, there's 2 warthog, or 3 warthog at least anyway. Those are some warthog, 4 warthog, 5 warthog. Definitely well within the prey range of those lions that are hanging around on the opposite end of the pan. Same with these kudu. And it's this time there that elephant's going to chase those warthog. He doesn't want those warthog anywhere close to him. What are you doing? Why? Why are you doing that? Just because I'm an elephant and I can. Andy, you said these ellies have made your day. 100%. They've made mine too. Sighting of the day is watching them climb out of the water like that. And that little baby swimming. It was so cute. So I 100% agree with you there. Now they're finished, and just like that, they will move off. Some moor hens, bottom left-hand side of the screen. They're all flinging dust on their mud. That'll coat the mud, keep it moist along the... something biting that elephant. It'll coat the mud and give it a coating, keeping it moist for longer, and then also adding an additional layer of sun protection. Then on the far left of the screen, just below center, is a spur-winged goose, the largest of the geese in South Africa, Southern Africa as far as I know as well. And it's nice, we're going to see the reflection of those elephants now coming into the water as they move off. What a great view. The elephant reflected in the water. Wow, that's lovely. Just look at that. Gosh. These cameras are such a treat. It's a teenage bull bringing up the rear. So very similar to how teenage boys bring up the rear when you're walking through a shopping center. Don't want to be associated to mom, dad, brothers and sisters. It's not cool. But is totally dependent on them, and so can't be too far away. That distance will gradually increase the older this elephant gets. And eventually he'll completely dissociate from his natal herd. He's busy just going to the bathroom. And he'll become a wanderer for the rest of his life. Which in this area be 50 years, 50 to 55 years. And he's probably in his late teens now, so anywhere sort of between 16 and 20. And there he carries on. And with that elephant passing out of the frame, why don't we go and have a look at what's happening at Old Donya? Wow. There you go. An elephant. So we're in Kenya now at Afrikaans Old Donya Camp. And evidently we've got some bull elephant around the pan and an African harrier hawk in the background. So have a look at just left of center. There's a grey bird there with what was a pinkish face. So that is an African harrier hawk. And there's got a very close-up view of an elephant's back legs. And just notice the amount of flying insects there are around. Crazy. There's that harrier hawk on the left-hand side there. The face is quite unique in that it can change colour from bright yellow to a dark red colour. And these birds specialise at hunting in cavities and under the barks of trees. Very slow flying bird, but an absolute squirrel killer. Squirrel, baby bird, lizard, snake, that can pry open bark. Quite often see them hanging upside down, probing cavities with their long legs. And it's actually quite a nice outcome. So that's an incredible bird. We had a pair of African hawk eagles yesterday, and now we've got a harrier hawk on the ground. And depending on the bird's mood, their face changes colour. So normally it's yellow, but when they are excited, it goes bright red. And this bird looks like he's got a yellow face. When you first came to him, it was a little bit pinkish. Between his elephant legs. Look at that. Cameras are so nice. I don't know if that's often, but obviously it just continues to marvel. There's the front legs of an elephant. I know that because the feet are round. And he's just screaming water down himself, having a crocodile. Similarly, also just resting themselves, cooling their skins down, managing their body heat. This is actually the biggest bath we've watched the elephant have here. Normally they're quite conservative with the water. They're literally big bull out there on the left. This part of Africa having some of the largest tusked bulls in the world, and home to some of super tuskers, so elephant whose tusks touch the ground when they're just walking. Something coming in from the right, there's another elephant. Now we're just talking about that young bull who was about to leave his mate or herd. Often what young bulls do is they join bachelor herds of elephant like this. These are all male elephants. There's no presence of females or babies here, and so bachelor herd of ellies. And often these young bull elephants will join these older bulls for companionship and also to learn. So it's a scary place, the world, for a young elephant. And a big old bull elephant like that one on the second from the left, he's not really that interested in breeding cows anymore. And so as his herds of musk increase in both frequency and magnitude, he'll be more open to youngsters who are not there yet, whose reproductive feelings are being suppressed, urges are being suppressed by dominant bulls all over the place. And so they form these loose associations with each other and learn from each other. Older bulls liking the younger bull's vigilance, and the younger bulls learning from the experience of the older bulls. So cool seeing these ellies. Let's be honest with you, there's just something about an elephant that I just find super majestic, at times quite tragic. To me, they sort of epitomize Africa in every sense of the word. See this elephant on the left with his bunch has rested his trunk across his tusks. Let's see if you can see it. See there? He's folded his trunk up across his tusk. Leads me to believe that these trunks are at times a bit of a nuisance. However handy they are. Nicholas, you're right. This is one of the best sightings of elephant at Aldonio. It's always great to see them doing something. Yesterday we had an elephant that was sticking around for, I don't know, an hour and a half, 2 hours. Just busy drinking. These guys have come in. They're interacting with each other. They're having a full-on bath. It was cool to see. And we're able to see all the different sides of an elephant all at the same time. You can see the blood vessels in the back of the ear and this elephant on the right. And highlighting how they cool themselves down. You can see how they're wet behind their ears. Big old bull elephant gives us an opportunity to talk about the younger bulls and how they socialize once they leave their breeding herd, their natal herd. These 6 ellie bulls will drink this pan dry.
Discover the wonders of the wild with Safari Snaps, Africam's fun community game. While enjoying the live streams, simply tag the animal you spot. Each tag earns you points based on the rarity of the species. The rarer, the more points you score. Your profile and the Safari Snaps leaderboard will keep track of your impressive tagging skills. Join us on Safari Snaps and let's celebrate the wonders of African wildlife together.
These are not the same as the oryx that we look at El Doño. These are different. Those are the fringe-eared oryx, whereas the oryx that we're busy having a look at now are the southern oryx. And for me, the prettier. I enjoy the grey fawn colour that they have, and their horns tend to be longer, and they got more distinct black and white markings on them. I really do enjoy them. And then of course we're looking at the springbuck as well, sort of ever present. Even though they don't need to drink. Actually, neither do the gemsbuck. Can't remember if it was gemsbuck the other day. One of these antelope was recorded at not drinking for 45 days, which I think is quite incredible. And that was 45 days and counting, by the way. The springbuck wading out into the water here. Pretty much underwater and swimming. That's crazy. Some wind blowing in. So So it wasn't forecast to have much wind, but you can see that dust cloud that's busy blowing up there, and that's what's giving this area this quite reddish, distinctive tinge. They're just kicking up a lot of dust into the atmosphere. All right, let's go and have a look at Jamala. So much action going on today. Goodness me, look at how many elephants are here. It's amazing. Elephant, zebra, impala. I don't think these are the same elephant that's been here. Could be. Amazing. So something disturbed this female. Jamala is being rebuilt. It's a camp that burnt down a couple of months ago. And there are quite a few workers that are busy and very necessarily busy building the lodge as quickly as they can. That elephant on the left, I think he's going to go and chase the zebra. When resources are poor, elephant can be quite protective over their water points and will often chase things around, especially youngsters. Except one there is going to chase those impala in the middle. Look at him. There you go. Oh, you're a big, scary elephant. That is so typical of these youngsters. And yet they don't have the confidence. That's how they build their confidence. He's such a brave boy. Gosh, today has been an elephant fest. I'm imagining that the next couple of days are going to be just the same. We're in for some hot days, and it's starting to dry out. Food is getting scarce. Staying hydrated is going to become the primary concern, and cool as the days increase in temperature. And so I'm imagining that, provided that it's not windy, when we start having these very clear hot days, we're going to see a lot and lots and lots of elephants. So get yourselves ready for that over the next couple of weeks. And then, as we predicted, lions have already moved into Tau. It is a mating pair, so they're not going to stick around there for long. It's when prides arrive and set up shop, in inverted commas, around these pans, and we start seeing those lions hanging around, not very far from pans at all. Elephant everywhere. The one on the right kicking up the sand, getting ready for his mud bath. Should we tell them that there's a much better mud pool, mud jacuzzi at Tau? They should go there. It's the best mud pool that there is. Elephant on the ridge, top right. And then that youngster still chasing the impala. What a clown. These two elephants having a bit of a moment with each other. That one there is going to chase some more impala. See that head up? That head up display that you see of those elephants, it's, on a youngster, that's nothing. It's just them being boisterous. But if you see a cow in particular do that, so trunk up, head up, ears out, That is a clear warning sound, a note that you need to be careful. You don't want the elephant cows or old bulls doing that to you. That little guy off on the right, he's still got his energy up, still running around chasing Impala. My feeling is he's going to come charging back again when he realizes that mommy's far away. Gosh, elephant, for as much as what they love clean water, they can muddy up a place, eh?
Hi, my name is Claire. WildEarth has been part of this home for many years as it connects us to the bush and the culture that we love and miss so much. I became an explorer so that other people around the world can get to experience the African bush in this unique way as well. I am beyond excited that I was drawn to win the prize at Ambakala Game Reserve for 3 nights. It is truly a dream come true.
Sign up today and you could be the one experiencing it for yourself.
That sort of big elephant on the far right. There's another big elephant just behind him now that's just wandered into the mud pool. He went in there with a little bit of, there you go, that like same sort of posture as these elephants have done, the sort of head shake and quite a arrogant walk. I imagine it's because he wanted to go and get himself some mud. I'll watch him spraying the mud up over his body. There he goes, having his mud bath now. Look Look at that little one trying to get down on the right hand side. Wants to get down, can't. What are you doing? He's going to go down backwards, you think? Like, what are you doing, big guy? He's little Elisa. No, he was just rolling around in the sand. Let's see this big elephant. He's missing himself along the side. He's spraying the little one in the face all the time, and the one that's directly behind him. Now, what are you chasing the zebra for, Naza? See what those Ellie's doing. I was mentioning a bit earlier, as resources get poorer and poorer, elephant, particularly the more aggressive species of animals, they start to protect their local resource. And when elephant are around a pan, they don't let anything else come and drink. And it can actually get to a point where very frustrated elephants start to kill other species. So I've seen them kill rhino and buffalo. It's not uncommon for them to have a proper wobbly and take out their frustrations and their hunger and their, just the stress that's developed when there's very little food out on other species. That isn't going to happen yet. For now, we get to watch these guys have a decent mud bath. Look at this little one bathing here in the front. So cute. There he goes. And boom. They're just around about a year old. There he goes for another lie down. Now in the dust this time. So just coating. Obviously learned the trick from mom. Look at him blowing the dust off on the right. Yeah, finished his dust bath. Now he's going to probably walk up out of the wallow. Finish the bath. Yeah, he's still busy tusking the sand. These guys are having a bit of a wrestle. See how slippery the mud is there. Let's see if he battles to get out of there. As you saw a little bit earlier, for those of you who are watching, the elephants are very mobile and will help each other when they get stuck. And so, even though it is quite slippery and elephants can fall over, I don't think that there's too much danger here. There we go. Bath over and done with. Thirst slaked for the most part. Gosh, it's been such an exciting day. I just want to say thank you to everybody who makes this show possible. Thank you to the partners. Thank you to all everyone behind the scenes. Thank you to the show directors and the people who work the cameras, and thank you to all of you out there who watch the show. It means a lot. Such a great way to spend a Saturday morning. What a great way to end. Really nice. These elephants. There's a hierarchy amongst themselves, and there's a fresher water where these elephants are drinking. So that's why they're jealously protecting the fresher water. But anyway, all the best wherever you are. Stay safe, and we'll catch up with you tomorrow.